Hey, welcome back to our mobilization of the month. Now this time, we're going to be addressing some movement restrictions that we may experience with the ankle. Now commonly, you're going to find a lot of mobilizations which are going to address dorsiflexion, which is just a fancy way of saying upward motion of the ankle that is commonly affiliated or associated with restrictions in getting nice and low in a squat, right? Because if you can't flex your ankle upward, you're going to either not squat down as low or feel like you always have to fall backwards when you get lower into your squat. However, what we're working on today is actually plantar flexion, which is the pointed down position of our foot, because we don't often appreciate what happens if we have limitations there. We could end up with a lot of tightness that exists along the front of our shins here, which is very, very common for runners who are running not ideally and developing shin splints. And is also can affect our populations like Olympic weightlifters when we have to come up into triple extension nice and high, and also our dancing population if we have to work on just staying off of our heels into plie and all these other positions, all these elegant shapes that we have to get into. So one way that we can assess our level of plantar flexion here and our tolerance for that, right, is to just simply get down onto your knees. But when you're here, okay, you're going to have your toes untucked and just simply sit down onto your heels and see if you can tolerate that. Now, some of us may have some sensitivity here where we can't even bear that weight. So this is why I have this ab mat and this pillow just underneath just to protect that a little bit. However, what you want to see is let's go completely exposed here. Let's go naked without anything, and if we can sit back here and tolerate that well. And if you can't, then this is just going to be an indication that, hey, we have to work on this, right? Because we want to be able to feel like we're trying to get our instep or the front of that ankle really close down to the ground, be able to tolerate some weight of our hips just sitting down on our heels. So if you feel like you've got some limitations there or just doesn't feel symmetrical, one of the things that we can first start off with here is just to get back into that same position. Now, working on just trying to sit down. So if you have something to pad you, that's fine. Just bring the ground up a little bit, that's cool. But you can just simply just do this. Watch this. I'm just going to grab the front of my left knee, and I'm just trying to actually just peel my knee off the ground, okay, just on this one side, while I still have the top of my foot in contact with the floor. All I'm doing here is just easily just trying to bring my foot into more of that plantar flexion and pointed down position just to open that up a little bit more. Now, if you feel like you can't do that, then we may have to go after some of the soft tissue restrictions that we may have going on here. So now we're thinking about, hey, let's get on a roller, let's add some pressure into the musculature that sits here. So it's going to be along the outer portion of the front part of our shin. So if we kind of, just dissect this or bisect this, right down the middle we feel like this nice ridge bone here. We're just going to come off to the side here where it's like kind of in line with our third, fourth, and fifth toe. We're going to work on just addressing some of the muscles that sit along there, okay? So we come into this. Better if you have an elevated platform. You can still do this on the floor, but I'll show you why pretty soon, why an elevated platform is going to be better. So now, all I'm doing here is kind of a quarter turn, exposing the outer musculature onto the roller, sitting like right below the knee here. So that little bump on my knee, kind of staying below that. And then I'm just going to work on just exploring right here. I'm going to cover this space here along the leg. I can come all the way even lower down into the leg if I wanted to, okay? But I'm just trying to feel like any spots of sensitivity, any tenderness, and I've got something right here. So for me here, I've got this spot. Now, when I'm here, I'm going to make sure I can still maintain normal breathing. I'm going to see if I can even get some more of my body weight to just sink into that roller so that I can literally feel like that roller is going to end up touching my shin bone underneath, okay? That's how much I'm trying to relax the muscles in the front of my leg. Once I've gotten to that point, okay, I'm absorbing this pressure, I'm tolerating it, I'm able to breathe. I'm going to start to add some movement in it. So I'm just going to do some simple movements of my foot and ankle. I'm going to start with just going toe down, toe up, and you'll start to feel those muscles tense up and relax depending on which direction you move into. And I'm just trying to see if I can promote more of this relaxation and softness, okay, into this muscle group. Now your ankle also moves in all different directions, so if you want to go ahead and sweep the ankle in and out from the left to right, you can go ahead and do that. But more of this toe down, toe up type of thing really, really gets us to appreciate what kind of action and thing is happening here, okay? So you want to just kind of work on tracing it down along the outside, okay, outer front side of this lower leg, and you really can take it all the way down, okay, just into like where my sock is, okay, where it's covering over here. Now even here though, what you can do is once you come back on here, you don't have to just move the foot and go up and down. We also have to be able to move our leg from side to side. So you may not be able to see so much here, but what I'm doing is because of the texture of this roller, it's really able just to grab onto my skin. And it's really taking it and dragging my skin now from side to side. So I'm just kind of shearing along the sides here, just coming off like on this different angle of pressure down on top of this roller. But I'm really just going to work on shearing, and I get a chance to really open up those restrictions there along the front of the shin. Okay, so I'd be remiss to say that we're not going to work on the other side. So now we're going to spend a little bit of time here on the other side. And this is like really nice because, you know, you get to just allow yourself to scan your system here, your movement system, okay, all the soft tissue here that works so hard for us that we don't even realize. And we just want to pay some tribute, honor it for working so hard for us so that we can move and do the thing that we want to do. So again, we're just kind of finding those spaces there, exploring it, and you may even find that you have a restriction and level of tenderness in different portions of that same muscle. Remember, this muscle covers a good amount of real estate in our leg here, all the way from just below the knee to just the top of the ankle, okay? So we want to just be able to, and even the top of the foot, believe it or not, but we don't have to really work on rolling that right now. I'm just trying to get into the meat here of the muscle. And the same thing, once you find something, freestyle, move your foot up and down, get that ankle you can also go do some circles in either direction, clockwise, counterclockwise, but really allow yourself to feel that connection and what this muscle here does for you, especially, and how you can compensate and how you move if this muscle is really locked up. So you want to find a couple of spots here, spend a little bit of time. For those of you guys who can't really tolerate so much pressure, use more of the support from your upper body through your arms. Try to work on breathing. Don't hold your breath here, okay? Take a deep breath in. When you exhale, try to soften that part of the leg, part of the body that roller is on, okay? And do that a couple of times, and you'll be surprised how quickly the muscle will start to melt and that tension starts to ease up, okay? So same thing here too. You have the options of just kind of this shearing. So it's not like my leg is kind of rubbing across here. It's pinning it, and I'm just kind of dragging and pulling the skin from side to side. We can go in all different directions, but we also want to be able to have options for our skin to move in all different directions, all different angles, all right? So you can kind of play around with that. So after that, okay, then we go ahead and come back down. It's always test, retest, right? So in the beginning, we tested to see how that felt. Want to see if we were able to tolerate more of that motion. Come back down into this heel sit with the toes untucked. Work on peeling it. And then this is where you might be able to feel like, hey, it's not as restricted, or I'm able to even just kind of isolate and open up other parts now, because with this now, we've been able to take the barrier off of the musculature up on top, and now it allows us to focus on what's happening down at the ankle more, and even the top, even with our toes, okay? One other thing that I'm going to expand on a little bit here is that connecting this muscle here down into what happens along the top of our foot, okay? Because that's where that muscle really actually terminates and ends. Connects it down to the top of our foot, and we have all of these other tendons and soft tissue that attaches to the top of our toes that if it's so tight, you'll start to notice that you can see these bowstrings along the top of each toe, which actually forces our foot to collapse and flex our toes up off the ground, okay? This is all connected here. So if the toes are off the ground, then you're going to end up with a lot of pressure on the bottom of your feet. So it's just kind of giving you an idea of how connected these things are. So when we come back into this position, okay, we're able to now work on getting the top of our foot to even come away from this like collapsed position here. Allows us to round off the top of our foot and really appreciate that type of movement here that we may not have been really working on or getting ourselves into as often. All right, so look, how do you start with this? Just follow along with this video, and then you can start to just go ahead and kind of freestyle and take this off in your own direction. But we hope that you enjoy this month's mobilization.